Today we're going to be walking you through the steps of keeping your air conditioner clean and running properly. One of the first things we check is to make sure there's no debris behind the air conditioner that could get in and plug the drain louvers in the air conditioner. There's this unit here actually has quite a bit of leaf built up behind it. It's very good every spring to have this cleaned out. After we do that, the next thing we check is the debris that has fallen inside the air conditioner. This tends to block up the drain holes and hold water inside the air conditioner, and helps, it stops the unit from draining properly and will cause it to rust out prematurely. It's very common to find mice and chipmunks nests. They like to go in there and chew the insulation off the wires over the winter time and stuff like that. Quite a few jobs we've found where we've opened it up and actually found a whole mouse nest and family living inside there where all the wiring, the coating on the wiring all chewed off, and it tends to short all the electrical components out inside the unit. A good idea, just so it doesn't build up with a lot of leaves inside of it, is just to at least put a board over the top fan part here in the wintertime with a brick on it to stop a lot of the leaves and sticks falling from out of the trees inside the unit. Wrapping is okay. Air conditioners are weatherproof, but if you wrap them, you have to make sure you leave at least a 6-inch air gap around the bottom so it can breathe in the wintertime and does not get rusty and hold moisture and mildew inside it over the winter. Now we'll be spraying. This is an acid cleaner, and this will actually eat. We spray on the outside. The air conditioner is a draw from the outside and discharges up the top, so when it's drawing in the outside, it's actually pulling all the dust and dirt in the air. In here it gets trapped in these fine fins on these coils. Now this is an acid that actually gets in here and foams and eats out all the dirt in between the fins in here. It's very tight, so the cleaner the fins are, the faster the air conditioner can dissipate the heat, and the less it'll run and the cheaper it will be on your electric bill. Now we'll check the capacitor and the contactor and the wiring for proper electrical voltage and to make sure no rodents have been in there over the winter time to chew off any of the wiring.
Each capacitor has a rating on it and also a plus or minus value of what it can be. So as long as it's within a certain range, the capacitor is still proper and working okay. Once they get out of that range, they make the electrical motors, both the fan and compressor motor, work harder, and therefore shortening the life of it. Another important thing that we check is all the electrical connections and the high voltage. If you have loose connections in any of the high voltage circuit, it can actually arc and spark and actually sometimes start a fire. So we always check for proper electrical connections on all the high voltage circuits. Make sure they're tight.
The next step of the process is checking the inside A coil to make sure it's clean and properly draining, and also checking the drain lines and the filter in the furnace to make sure that everything is clean and clear.
Our first thing we do when we come down and check the inside, we always got to make sure the air filter's clean. So pull the air filters out. Obviously this one's pretty dirty, so we're going to replace that one. You always want to make sure you got your airflow arrows facing towards the furnace, because your air goes into your furnace and then blows up through your house. So if you put your filter in the wrong way, you got these little metal fins here. It actually stops your filter if it breaks down, stops it from pulling into your blower wheel. So you want to keep that going in the right direction. So next we will take apart the plenum here to get into the A coil and check the A coil to see if that's clean. So this is the other half of your air conditioner. It's called the A coil or evaporator coil. This is where you get your cooling from. We'll go inside here, got it open for access. We'll clean. It's basically just like your air conditioner outside unit, but it's inside your furnace here. We'll go inside and clean See inside here, it's relatively good. Usually you can start telling when they get dirt and dust built up on them, then that's usually a bad sign. It'll really cut down on your airflow. So we'll spray this down just like we did the air conditioner outside. All right, next we're going to take apart the drain line here. Take the drain fitting off of the A coil. Make sure that's all clean. Drain line we got here is pretty old and looks like there's a lot of mildew and mold built up into it, so we're going to replace that.
Obviously, since the inside part of your air conditioner is always cool, damp, and moist, what tends to grow in cool, damp, and moist environments? Mold, mildew, all that good stuff, which then in turn clogs your drains. One way to help prevent that after it's clean is putting drain tablets or pads in there. There's a couple different forms of them. These ones are tablets that basically just constantly dissolve every time water and condensate hits it and prevents mold growth. So in turn, keeping your drains more clear throughout the year. Another thing that we like to check, just make sure these service caps are tight. Just one place Freon can escape from. When they're installed, they should be tightened down, which these are tight and good to go. And before I hooked up my gauges, they have caps where you can to block the refrigerant from coming out. They all have O-rings in them. One of your O-rings was missing, so that's another place refrigerant can escape from.
This is a thermostat stuck in the supply side of your ductwork, so we take the reading from that, and then we take the reading from the return side here. Same thing, there's another thermostat in there. You want anywhere between 15 and 20 degree temperature difference. If you're under that, you usually possibly could be a little low on Freon, so I think we're right at about 13 degrees, so that's a little less than we want to see. So then the next thing we got to check is it's called a wet bulb reading. That's what this little device does. It's called a psychrometer. We get to take the number from that, and then we have to go back outside and take the number off of our gauge, and then we have to calculate, say this is at 58 degrees for a wet bulb reading, which is the relative humidity that your air conditioner is pulling out of your system. So we have to go back up, check between those two numbers. I think 58 is going to be right around 8 degrees, so you take the temperature of the Freon and the temperature of your wet bulb, and you got to subtract 2 to get your superheat, is what it's called, and then you go from there. It'll tell you if you're low on Freon. So we'll head back up outside and check that out.
Just getting a dry bulb reading, basically the temperature entering the condensing coil. Jake went inside and took a reading for the indoor wet bulb, which was 58 degrees. And then we're going to take the actual temperature outside of the condenser entering, which is 75 degrees. Line it up. We should have a 9-degree temperature difference, or superheat. And a superheat is basically the temperature of the refrigerant coming in on the green dial on the indicator here. We have a 35-degree temperature for R22, and then we also measure the line temperature coming in on the suction side, which my temperature probe is hooked up to right now. Right now it's at 62 degrees and 35, which is, according to this, to get a lower line temperature, you have to add refrigerant. So according to the readings right now, we're a little low on refrigerant. The unit may still be working, but once it's properly charged, it just works more efficiently. Every time we add refrigerant, we weigh it out, so we know exactly how much refrigerant we are putting in. Every time you add refrigerant, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to actually even out with our temperature and our gauge temperature. So it's a little bit of a process, and to get it properly done, get it done right, takes a little time. So
Go through our 11-point checklist that pretty much wraps up your tune and check of your condensing unit, and your air conditioner is good to go for the summer. From our family to yours, I'm Brian.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Jake.
Together we are Kelchner's Arctic Air Cooling, Heating, and Refrigeration. Remember to call us for all your cooling, heating, and refrigeration needs.